I remember a doctor came in around 2 in the morning and had a very grim look on his face and said, I'm sorry to tell you this news, but you are in stage 4 congestive heart failure. December 2008, I ended up in an emergency room. I was admitted for shortness of breath. At that time, we didn't really know what was going on. I had never been sick. 6 months prior, I was in perfectly healthy condition, and now I'm dying. And without a heart transplant, I wouldn't live to see 6 months. August of 2009, got a phone call from a doctor and saying, you need to come up to Baylor and we have a heart for you. And so during that time, it's a bittersweet feeling because, one, you don't know if you're gonna make it through the heart transplant. It's obviously a very serious surgery. And two, you have somebody that has lost their life. And so you're actually taking an organ from somebody that's no longer living. During that time, I met Kaylee, and we dated for about 9 months, and I asked her to marry me.
When I first met him, and he told me about 2 weeks into dating that he had had a heart transplant, I really didn't know what to make of it. He kind of made it seem like it wasn't a big deal, and that it was behind him, and it was nothing to be worried about. I remember, just kind of trying to get some details from him, but he was just pretty nonchalant about it. So that's kind of how I took it as well. After we got engaged, about a month or so into that, he called me one day and he told me that he had actually just gone up to the hospital and just wanted to see his doctor and get some tests done because he just was not feeling right. He knew something was up.
And one of the initial tests that I took proved that I was in heart failure again.
I left work, I met him up at the hospital, and that is when his doctor, she actually looked at me and told me, because I guess she had already told him, that he was in rejection. We had just gotten engaged, planning to get married. What does this mean? I don't really know what this means. Is the heart in rejection, like, do we fix that? Does he die? I didn't know what that meant. We ended up getting married in February of 2011. Jace, he was feeling okay, but he wasn't feeling great. So for the next 3 years of our marriage, he was just progressively getting more and more symptomatic of the rejection. We got pregnant with our daughter, and when I had her in June of 2013, Jace was really not feeling well.
I was bitter, I was angry. I was honestly to the point of giving up my faith. I didn't want to keep going on. I was really upset. I cried out and asked God. I was like, all this was not for nothing. Just me getting a new heart and then me just dying 4 years later, right after my little girl was born. I just felt like God had forsaken me, and I was just left in the dark. I just didn't want to believe anymore. And so around 2 a.m. one evening, I just felt that I just needed to go into a room by myself, and I turned on some worship music, and I basically just cried out to God, and I was like, God, I need your help. I am completely broken. I have a little girl that just turned 2 weeks old, and now I'm basically on my deathbed again. And I basically just told God, whether or not this is the correct way to tell God how to do something, but I basically just said, I was like, God, you've got to show me something. You've got to show me something that's gonna keep me fighting, to keep me going on. It's gonna allow me to have a peace of mind knowing I'm gonna be here for my daughter, to let her know me and to watch her grow. And during me just crying my eyes out, I opened up my Bible, and I just opened up. First thing I came to, it was just like bold black letters right there, and it was in Psalms 41. How blessed is he who considers the helpless. The Lord will deliver him in a day of trouble. The Lord will protect him and keep him alive, and he shall be called blessed upon this earth. And do not give him over to the desire of his enemies, and the Lord will sustain him upon his sickbed. And in his illness, the Lord will restore him back to health. And after I read that, it was like God just breathed life into me. It was almost like God was just sitting right there on that bed, had his arms around me, and just said, Jace, I love you. I'm going to be there for you, and you're going to get through this. And not you're only going to get through this, I'm going to bless you when you get through this.
The doctor came out and looked at me, and as I was like holding our baby, and just said, he's gonna need a second transplant. And I mean, I broke down, but I broke down because I was afraid of the way Jace was gonna handle the news.
I was holding Lyric in my hands like this, and I remember her just looking at me and just smiling, and I knew that I was gonna be here for her and watch her grow. And there was no doctor that was going to tell me otherwise, because God told me what was going to happen in my life and the promise that he made for me. I had just complete joy, man. It's hard to explain. It's just it's a surreal thing that, again, that nobody can ever take away from me. Having the worst news that a doctor could ever say to you, but having nothing but joy and peace and comfort.